Hi everyone, this video will explain about gases exchange and control in plants. The learning outcome is for students to be able to explain the regulation of the stomatal opening and closing based on starch sugars hypothesis. Gases exchange occurs in stoma and in lenticels. Stoma is the main structure that allows gases exchange to occur. And what about lenticels? Lenticels are a pore or an opening that can be found other than on the leaf surface, such as on the stem and on fruit. Let's look at the structure of stoma. Stoma is actually controlled by two cells named guard cells. The guard cells appear in pairs, 1, 2, and the stoma is here. So guard cells is a type of plant cells that contain the same structure as other plant cells, including having vacuole. They have inner walls and outer walls. They have cell walls. They also have nucleus and chloroplast, meaning that they can undergo photosynthesis. The inner walls of the guard cells are less flexible. They are thicker than the outer wall. The outer wall is thinner and more flexible. So actually, stoma, the plural of stoma is stomata. So a stoma is a pore surrounded by two guard cells. The guard cells has a kidney bean shaped and they contain chloroplasts. Functions of stoma is to regulate gases exchange and regulate water loss or transpiration. Regulate gases exchange, which in turn will also regulate water loss. So what guard cells do is to control the diameter of the stoma by changing shape. How do they change shape? Either they become flaccid or turgid. So when the gap between the two cells are widened, the stoma is said to be open. When the gap is narrowed like this, then the stoma is said to be partially closed or closed. Stoma closes when the guard cells loses water by osmosis. When the guard cells loses water, the guard cells become flaccid, so the stoma closes. The stoma is open when the guard cells are turgid. They become turgid when water moves into the guard cells by osmosis. Based on starch sugars hypothesis, during the day the photosynthesis process occurs, producing glucose. The whole process of photosynthesis, including the light dependent and the light independent reaction. So glucose is produced. Glucose will be accumulated in the guard cells. The presence of glucose will lower the water potential. Okay, so when water potential in the guard cells lowers or decrease, water from the subsidiary cells will move into the guard cells. So guard cells become turgid and stoma open. You have to understand why having glucose in the guard cells lowers the water potential. It is related to the characteristics of glucose being water soluble. So if there are more glucose in the guard cells, more water will be bound to the glucose, or the glucose will dissolve in the subcell of the gut cells. So water potential decrease as glucose increase. Thus, water will move into the gut cell. At night, the glucose is converted to starch, which increase the water potential in the gut cell. What makes the starch causing increase in water potential? As you know, as you remember, you should remember, glucose plus glucose produce maltose, and this is a process that remove water from the structure. Still remember? So maltose kita boleh letak dekat equation, maltose plus H2O. So to produce starch, we will need more glucose bound together. So as more glucose form bond between each other to form starch, more water will be produced. And also starch, the starch is not soluble in water, so the water will not be bound to any sugar, thus increasing the water potential. So water potential in the gut cell increase at night due to the conversion of glucose into starch. So water will move out of the gut cells and the gut cells become flaccid. Okay, to be specific, the starch sugars hypothesis, why during the daytime more glucose is present in the gut cells. Okay, photosynthesis occurs, the carbon dioxide concentration decrease, so pH increase. You know why carbon dioxide decrease? Because the carbon dioxide is used during Calvin cycle. Then phosphorylase enzyme, due to the increase in pH, phosphorylase enzyme will be activated to catalyze the breaks up of starch into glucose. You know that gut cell produce glucose and the glucose are stored in the form of starch at night. Okay, in the form of starch. So during the day, the starch is broken or the starch is converted into glucose. Adding up with the production of glucose from the photosynthesis, glucose is accumulated in the gut cell, thus the accumulation will further decrease the water potential because glucose will dissolve in water. So the gut cell will have lower water potential than the subsidiary cells, causing water from the subsidiary cells to move into the gut cells by osmosis. The presence of more water in the cells increase turgor pressure, so gut cell becomes turgid. When the gut cell turgid, the inner cell wall of the gut cell, which is less elastic, will maintain the structure, but because the outer cell wall is less elastic, is more elastic, will expand further, causing the diameter of the opening to increase. So stoma is open. At night, no photosynthesis occur in the gut cells, or less photosynthesis occurs. The rate of the photosynthesis decrease. So phosphorylase enzyme will catalyze the conversion of glucose 1-phosphate to starch. Or in an easier way to say, glucose in gut cells is converted to starch, since starch is insoluble in water, and the process here produces more H2O. So it will increase the water potential of the gut cells. So water will move from the gut cells to the subsidiary cells by osmosis, decreasing the turgor pressure of the gut cells. Then the gut cell becomes flaccid. So the stoma will close. That's all. Thank you.